it's gonna ring now. He been fly, ain't a damn thing changed now. He elevated while they looking at him strange now. Gone, let it ring now. He in the game now. He's a ruler, I know he is gonna ring now. He been fly, ain't a damn thing changed now. He elevated while they looking at him strange now. Gone, let it ring now. Every time he show up, it's a frenzy, boy, just hold up. Check his wrists, yes, he's froze up, he's divine.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Qaysean Williams, and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to my podcast. This is my first ever podcast episode, and a lot of people don't know, but this has been something that's been on my goal list for so many years. I always wanted to have my own podcast, and not just because of having a podcast, just because I really have learned about the power of words and how in my life words have helped me and has shaped the way I see life and really just elevated me overall. And I had to experience a lot of things in life, as I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this as well. You guys have experienced a lot of things in your life, and you have learned lessons. You learn what to do, what not to do. And for me, by doing that, a lot of that was for me just getting to know and tapping into who I am. And for so many years, especially as a kid and growing up with a disability and never feeling like I was accepted into the world, or feeling like I was different, and just not feeling like I was enough, I never really found time to tap in and get to know myself. It was hard for me to find a voice at a younger part of my life, and today sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm just amazed, like, wow, you've really come such a long way, to just be able to be vulnerable and to be able to express yourself. And these are the things that I say to myself. So I may be talking as a different person, but this is the things that I say to myself out loud. So I'm just very grateful to be here today and talking on this podcast. And this episode is actually inspired by a conversation that I had with myself, and it was just about how dating, for instance, let's talk about dating. You hear a lot of people talk about dating, and sometimes how it's a good experience and sometimes how it's a bad experience, right? And for me, I've dated over the years. I am a gay man, and I've dated men. So I date men, and I've dated men over the years, and some were good, some were okay, some were not so good. And a lot of the themes came from just me really not knowing what I wanted out of relationships and what I wanted just in general. And again, this is all stemming back from just being from childhood. So I was just having a conversation with myself, and I was just thinking about a few times where I would be talking to someone, and they may bring up the conversation about my wardrobe. And I'm a fashion designer, and I love fashion. I love beauty. I love everything about looking good and feeling good. And there were some guys I encounter who everything, the vibe be going great, type of vibe, but it just I guess it would be just my appearance. And the old me would feel insecure or feel like it was something that I've done wrong because they weren't interested, or it just wasn't their cup of tea. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't their preference, and it wasn't their cup of tea. And that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with what people want, as long as people are being respectful. And everyone was respectful who I have encountered those things with. So that was a blessing in itself, because some people can be rude and disrespectful. But anyway, so they just brought up the conversation about just knowing who self is, right? And knowing who self is. So it's so complex when people say, you got to know yourself. When I think about knowing yourself, it's not knowing myself as a complete sentence or as a complete task, something that I can do in a month or I can do in a year or a few weeks, or like I can just learn everything about myself. No, that's not what I mean when I say get to know knowing self. Because every single day we're experiencing something, and with every experience there are lessons, there are things that's going to change us. Inevitably there's a lot of things that's going to change us. Our tastes are going to change. For me, the way I dress now may be different than the way I dress 5 to 10 years from now. And the things that I like or the things I like to do may all change. That's just a part of life. Change is inevitable. It's like one of those constant variables that just is always going to be there. And so when that's the same thing when it comes to self. Self is a part of that change. So when you get to know yourself, it's not about knowing yourself as a complete thing. It's like not an ending to that. It's a forever thing. It's a forever ongoing thing. And for me, just getting to know myself it helps, because getting to know myself allows me to tap into my emotions and understand how I feel about everything. So I always ask myself a lot of questions. I ask myself, how are you feeling today? I ask myself, why do you feel like this? Or what is it that you want from this situation? And I think it's very important that we start to build up that relationship with ourselves. Especially now today, we have social media and we have so many different things that's distracting us from actually taking some time to get to know ourselves. And I'm so aware of that I have to make time every day to meditate. And that's like sitting in silence for me. And that's just me just allowing my thoughts to roam free, and me just observing my thoughts and understanding, like, who am I today? What am I thinking about? What do I feel like? What do I want to feel like? What are my goals today? These are some of the things that I do just to tap in with myself and just to really, really get to know myself. Because the more you get to know yourself, the more you start to figure out what makes you you. What makes you feel the way that you feel? What triggers you and why it triggers you? And ultimately, all of those things that you do when you start to just take inventory of your own life and find out what you like and what you don't like. All of this compounds over time, and it allows you to be very discerning, which is very important, to have a discerning spirit. But you'll be able to discern people, places, and things that are for you and that are not for you. And I think that's one of the biggest things about getting to know yourself, is really being able to align with the things that you see for yourself. And I always see myself further than I probably currently am at the time. And I do that just to keep myself motivated and to keep myself pushing forward. And I'm not saying that everyone has to do that, but I'm just giving like the different things that I do just to keep myself motivated and to keep myself looking towards the future. And when you start to build up this rapport with yourself and this relationship with yourself, you really can avoid a lot of unnecessary drama, which I think a lot of people would love to do that. I mean, there are some people who live for drama, but we're not talking about those people. And I don't think the people who are listening to this podcast we're not into that. I understand. But when you know yourself and getting to know yourself, you start to know what you like, what you don't like, where you want to go, what you want to do, what's your favorite food, what makes you laugh, what makes you cry, what makes you angry, and what triggers you. And even in relationships, and this is where this conversation actually just started for me. Like I said earlier, when I know who I am, I step into a relationship confident because I know what I bring to the table. I know, and when I know myself, it introduces self-love, because when you get to know yourself, you realize that you're so amazing, and that helps build up the self-love. And you need self-love to thrive in this world, to be in relationships, in all kinds of relationships. That could be intimate relationships, business relationships, platonic relationships. And to have self-love, you have to know who who you are. You have to take the time to get to know yourself and to love on yourself, so that way you can build up that self-love, and then you can step into any room and be fully confident in who you are. And then when doubt creeps in, because let's be clear, as I stated in the beginning of this episode, it's not about a completion of getting to know yourself. Like, it's an everyday process to get to know yourself. And that means that there are going to be times where you may not feel the greatest. You may not feel like everything is working out for you. You may be disappointed in yourself. And these are all normal ways and emotions to feel. But what's important is to remember how you want to feel. Remember the things that you believe about yourself, and how you see yourself. That's truly what it really is. It's about how you see yourself. And when you do that, you're able to manage your emotions a lot better. And that's another benefit of getting to know yourself, is to be able to manage your emotions, and also to take accountability, which is very important and is very vital for elevation in your life, and to just really have a whole life, a whole full life, is to be able to take accountability. And when I think about accountability, and when I think about self-awareness and all of how those marry together, I just think about how a lot of times I've put myself in situations where I either put out too much or I've gotten hurt. And normally, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, normally we will blame the other party. And sometimes it do be the other party who may have been the main contributors to the pain and suffering that we endure. But in that, there are some effects of our own doing that has actualized that pain and suffering. And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of tough to really put that mirror in front of you and kind of look at the things that you've experienced and feel like, okay, there's a part that I played in this. That in the beginning for me, that was pretty tough, because I felt like I was doing everything right. Like, I felt like I put in the work. I am mindful. It ain't me. And I'm not saying don't hold people accountable for what they're doing as well. We're not going to do that now, because there are some situations and things that occur that is other people's doing. But what I always try to do is look to see where I can take accountability. And that can be in terms of, did I, maybe I allowed them to do a certain thing, or I allowed myself to stay in the situations longer than I should, or I went to a place that I shouldn't go, or I believed that this was something that I was worthy of, or that I didn't deserve much more than I was receiving. And that's what self-awareness does. Self-awareness opens your eyes for real. And it allows you to see you. And sometimes when you see you, you may see parts of yourself that you're not so fond of, that you're not so happy with. And that's good, because that's a perfect way to begin to build your life and continue to elevate your life, is by working on the areas that you're weaker in. Listen, we're human beings, and life is not about being perfect and getting every single thing right, but it's about setting those intentions to be the best version of yourself. And that looks like taking accountability for when you're wrong. That's about loving and appreciating yourself always, but even more so when you're doing, give yourself some love when you do things right, and be mindful of other people. Be mindful of how you are showing up for other people and how you are making other people feel. And also being aware of how other people are making you feel. All of these things come into play when it comes to self-awareness. And I just think about that even when I'm dating, and if I feel uncomfortable, or if I feel like I'm not being appreciated in a way that I know I deserve to be appreciated, having the courage and the confidence to say, this is not going to work for me, or I deserve more. And that's in business, that's in friendships, anybody that I allow into my space or I'm going into their space, I want it to be of love, and I want it to be of elevation, and I want it to be good. I want it to be good. Like, I love to have fun, and I love to have a good time. And if the vibes is not that, just having the courage and having the awareness to just be like, nah, this is not for me. And then being able to walk away from things that just doesn't serve you anymore. And I know we hear that a lot of, like, well, don't, walk away from things that doesn't serve you. It's easier said than done, especially if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you want, if you don't have a vision for yourself. And that's all this episode really entails, because, like I said, these are conversations that I have with myself all the time. I always ask myself, like, how do you feel? What do you think about? What do you think about this? And it helps me to just understand how I think. And I'm more aware when I am in the act of things, and I'm more intentional with the way that I move and the things that I do and the things that I say. And I understand the power of words, and I understand, emotional intelligence. And I know there are people out there who can relate. And if there's anything in this video or this audio that you felt like resonated with you, please drop in the comments and let me know what you heard and what resonated with you, what you felt from it. If you felt like there's some extra tips that you can drop in the comments, listen, this is a space where we're here to grow, where we're here to love on each other and help each other. And feel free to leave some tips down in the comment section. And if you feel like there's someone that who can benefit from listening to this audio, please share this video with them. I appreciate that so much. I thank you in advance for even doing that. And I just want to kind of create a space here where we could just have real talk, and we could just talk and and just grow. And really life's experiences is how we really grow, and those are the lessons that we really learn from. So that's all I got for you guys on this first episode. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. If you guys do not know, I am a fashion and I am a costume designer. And I own a brand called Mannequin Mob, which is a luxury streetwear brand where I intertwine fantasy fashion with streetwear and just create some really cool garments. And I would love it if you guys could check me out on Instagram at Real Life Mannequin. That's MANIKIN. And you can check out my Instagram from the business page. All of those accounts are linked in my bio. Please check me out. Please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification so that way you do not miss an upload. And if you like this video, again, like it, drop me a comment, share it with somebody that you feel like will benefit from this video. And before we head out, say some affirmations that I think will be great for you guys. So I am amazing. I learn who I am each and every day, and I love every second of it. By me stepping into my own power, I become empowered forever. Self-love is the best love. All right? Listen, stay beautiful, stay blessed. I love y'all. Thank you so very much for tuning in, and I will be back again with another episode. Peace out.
Yeah, I never needed validation just to wear the crown. You say what? Glamorous, that's heat. No need to see ID. Go ahead and check his feet. I bet you never ever see nobody made like he. Be a mannequin, real legend in them streets.